Zeeshan. He's originally from Pakistan, from the province of Punjab. He graduated from Nishtar Medical College and did his psychiatry residency at Mount Sinai. He completed his child and adolescent fellowship at Harvard Medical School and did a very prestigious 0 to 3 parent infant fellowship from UMass, which is a very prestigious honor for, as he was the first Pakistani physician to be enrolled in that fellowship. He's an assistant professor at Rutgers Medical School and is the founder of an Inside Out Clinic, which is his own clinic. He also helps with children with autistic spectrum disorder and has established a school and clinic over there in Pakistan to assist these children. So I would like to invite Dr. Zeeshan to come and enlighten us with his presentation.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Is this your presentation?
Yes. You have the mic, so
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So first of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I think I will talk a few things about parenting because I think that is just a very challenging topic, especially people who grew up in a different country and they are raising kids here. And many times, especially when I talk to physicians, so the first question they ask that, have you ever been hit by your parents? This is the usually question they ask me. And I said, yes. And the next question they usually ask, do you believe if you were not being hit, would you become a doctor? And I mean, with the true honesty, I think I would say probably not. Because if I was not raised by that strict discipline, there will be less likely I would have pursued. I may have done a lot of other things. Then the third question they asked, so that already tricked me. So the third question they asked, then why you are telling us that, being strict, being disciplinary is bad. Because I strongly believe is connection matters over correction. And I usually share this Maula Ali's quotation is that we should not raise our kids the way we are being raised. Because our kids are born for a different time in a different generation. When I shared this first time at Harvard, everyone was surprised that someone has said that thing so many years ago. And what it actually means, couple of things I will give an example. So I was in an audience, so people ask, similar question asked, and then I asked them, how many, so I was teaching in Pakistan. So I asked in the audience, how many people in the audience whose parents never wore a shirt or a tie? A lot of people raised their hand. And then I asked how many of people in the audience whose parents never flew in a plane? A lot of people raised their hand. And similarly, I asked you a question. I said that if your parents have not done those things, why you are doing it? So they said, because we learned, as you grow, if you move from a smaller city to a bigger city, you start wearing different things. Even you start wearing branded things. My father used to go on the cycle, but now I have a car, so I learned. So I said, we have learned everything as the time goes on. But the only thing, unfortunately, we have not learned. So we want to do the same thing that our parents have done. And there is a science behind it. There's a huge research. It's called Ghost in the Nursery. Okay, Ghost in the Nursery. And the concept, Dr. Salma Freiberg mentioned that, so we parents, when we were young, the way we are being raised. And this is so powerful. Like even if you are not being hit or being raised hard, but if you have seen those practices happening around you, and now we are bigger, some of us are doctors, some of us are teachers, some of us are professors. So all those things that have happened to us in our childhood, Now our brain forgets it, our body remembers it. Let me tell you another, let me repeat what I'm trying to say. So whatever happened to us, you know, or whatever we have seen, so now our brain forgets it, our body remembers it. So the moment our child raised a voice, the moment we saw that our child did not do well in exam, the moment our child said something that was so-called disrespectful, our body react to it even without thinking. You may have noticed many times, you are helping so many people in the clinic. You come home and your daughter, and I will share a few examples, your daughter, your son said something, and within second, your body reacted so strongly that sometimes you get scared of yourself. And the one thing I share with parents, these things are not in your control. So one thing, because especially in mothers, we have a lot of shame, lot of guilt, lot of self-doubt. And without realizing it, that these are memories in our body, and it happens automatically without thinking it. So I have a daughter, her name is Manal. So she's 80-year-old. I'm a child psychiatrist. I do practice. And in child psychiatry, usually the evenings get very busy. But I intentionally try to, close my clinic at 7, making sure that I put her to sleep. I have a son, daughter Manal, and son Hadi, Mikhail Hadi. So one night, so my usually routine was that I used go home, brush her teeth. And in the beginning, she used to spit at my face. So as a man, that's considered a very disrespectful in our culture. Someone is spitting at your face. So in the beginning, I used to think how unappreciative or how spoiled this child is. I just closed my clinic. If I would have stayed another hour, I would have treated 3 or 4 ADHD, felt have good, I'm helping. And look at this, I'm home and, trying to enjoy. That's the other concept that, we as a parent, when we try to take some time out, we want to make sure that our kids enjoy what we are doing. And I will talk about that a little as well. So anyhow, so she started spitting, and so in the beginning, what we learned that we have to teach our kids manners, because we need to help them, we need to raise them. And I said, so our routine was I will brush her teeth, and after that I will tell her a story. And one of the story I will share is come out of those when I was telling a story to her. So in a normal parenting or a conventional parenting, so I did what I learned. So I told her, next time if you spit at my face, I'm not going to give you your story time. She was stubborn just like me. And she forgot. Next day she spit, and I said, no story time. And I still remember. So we have room on the same floor. So my daughter, she was crying in her room, and I was sitting in my room being more strong father. But I need to teach her a lesson. I need to teach her a manner. I need to teach her. And we people exaggerate. We may think when she grew up, she will start spitting on everyone's face. If my kids fail in this grade, this child is going to be homeless for sure. And we have to teach them in that moment, right there or there then, and all the experience that you have learned. Anyhow, so that happened many times. And then, I was learning, I was, goes in the nursery. So I did child psychiatry, I did infant psychiatry, then I did master in parent coaching. And one thing I was learning, being more mindful about, so I talked about the ghost in the nursery, okay, from Dr. Salma Forever. You can look into it. It's a really good research. Then the other is called Angels in the Nursery from Dr. Alicia Lieberman. So she talked about these are not the irreparable things that have happened to us. We can help our parents to become angel. So in a New Jersey magazine in the Rutgers, they called me an angel's advocate. That was my title when I wrote about it. So with those concepts, I have learned that there are some triggers that happen to me that activate my ghost. And people, who are, from smaller towns. So I'm from a very smaller town, and our ghosts are very stronger. One of the doctor I met, from Alipur. So Jhang is also a very small town. It's a very emotional town. So when our ghost got reacted, it's just too much. So first thing I learned is that these things is triggering my own emotions. First, second thing. But the question is, but if I'm not going to teach my child what is right and wrong, then who is going to teach? So one thing I would like you to, as a parent, this is our responsibility to teach them. But the question is when to teach it, how to teach it. Okay? Because many times when you listen to these lectures, gentle parenting, kind parenting, then you may start thinking that, then where to set the limit. So I hope I will share some practical strategies to share where you set the limits. So the first thing is you become aware of your own, what is triggering you. The second thing is, so what I did, so then, so there is a hand model of the brain. Okay, this is if you have this hand like this, Dr. Dan Siegel. So Dr. Dan Siegel said there are two parts of the brain. One is the thinking brain, like our prefrontal cortex, which is behind our forehead, the part of the brain, right and wrong, planning, executive functioning. And one is an emotional brain, which is, the fight and flight. So Dr. Dan Siegel said these fingers are our thinking brain, this palm is our emotional brain. And in a normal situation, our thinking brain is covering our emotional brain like this. Like, for example, nowadays, if, let's say, if you don't like someone next to you, so you may think of, let me say something bad, but you're saying, Dr. Zeeshan came from all the way from New Jersey. Let him finish his lecture, then we will talk about all this. So your thinking brain is telling you, not now. Okay? But in a stressful situation, the emotional brain get on fire. And remember the emotional brain function is fight and flight. Fight means yelling, screaming, blaming, name calling, hitting, and flight mean being more isolated, not talking. Okay, so that's a fight and flight. So when our child misbehave, failed in the exam, made a mistake that were not approved, or we found them, and I will talk about the screen addiction. We talked about the no phone at 9 p.m. and the 11 p.m. you found out, there's a dim light is coming under the blanket, and someone is reading chemistry. Of course not. So in those situations, when our child comes, so their lower part of the brain is on fire. Okay. So, and what's the functioning of the lower part of the brain? Fight and flight. So Dr. Dan Siegel say when this fire gets so strong, it flipped the lid. Okay. It flipped the lid. In that moment, your child is only acting through the lower part of the brain. You have seen many times what you are saying is perfectly right. Your advice is right, but the more you are giving the advice, the more is triggering, because the thinking brain is completely hijacked at that moment. Your all years of helping, I'm a parenting coach, I'm helping so many people, in the clinic, but in that moment, the worst, not the worst part, but the interesting part is that it's not only the child lower brain is hijacked, your lower brain. In that moment, the child may made a mistake and you are trying to get the control. If the child is not going to get a control, then you start yelling, you start threatening, so sometimes you don't even realize whose lower brain is firing more. Is it a child or is it? So anyhow, so what I'm trying to say is that in that moment, that's not the right time to prepare. Okay. So my daughter is spitting. In the beginning, in my normal parenting, I used to take away the time. She was crying. I was trying to be strong as a good dad to teach her manners. With my training, I have learned. So, she keeps spitting. She's persistent. person, good genes for I hope. So anyway, so she keep, and then what I learned is don't take away their time. Our love, our time for our kids should not be based on their behavior. No matter what do they do, inside then we need to teach them your love, your care for them is not related to their behavior. So in that moment, so now she's spitting and I'm telling her what you are doing is making me angry, but I'm not going to take away your story time. And when I'm telling her this, so that part has happened, then I'm telling her the story. And when I feel that she is in a more, when her thinking brain is active, then I am telling her, that was pretty angry. So the few things I would like to share. As a parent, we need to teach our kids what is right and wrong. But the key is one to do it. So the first thing I will encourage you is, let's say a few example. Your child failed an exam, they did something, they got a fight in school, they got into fight at home. Whatever it is, try to first check with yourself. If I need to help my child, make sure my lower part is not on fire. So staying calm, that's the first thing. The second thing is validate your child feeling. You tell your child, it must be really hard to fail this exam. It must be very frustrated to me finding out that you were supposed to stop at 9 p.m., but you are using the phone at 11 p.m. So Dr. Dan Siegel say when we name the feeling, we can help our child to tame the feeling. Okay? The third thing, which is most powerful, I would like to share, we call it a collaboratively explore. So one thing if I really want you to do from today is that I call it a Dr. Z 10-minute rule. The 10-minute, take the 10-minute mark where you are not going to tell what is right, what is wrong. You are not going to correct it. 10-minute, you are just curiosity and exploration. Your child was using a phone at 11 p.m. You're very frustrated. Your child is manipulating you. There is no question about it. Let me give you another example. Then I will keep coming back. So I was again giving a lecture. So one of my colleague came to me. She was a psychologist. She said, I have been using gentle parenting, listening all this lecture, always been very mindful about my teenager until one thing happened. She said we were at a wedding and she was passing by and she overheard her daughter. So the daughter was telling her friend, I know how to manipulate my mom. And she said, okay, then no, I'm going to tell you, I am your mom, you are not. And then I said, then what happened? She said, then I start being strict on her. And I said, what did it happen? She said, then I felt that we are being disconnected. But Dr. Zeeshan, what should I do? So I told her, did you tell your daughter how bad you felt when you heard that statement? That never happened. Did I tell my daughter, the spitting, how it make me feel, not in that moment, not in a threatening way, not in a, okay, if you spit, I'm going to take it away. When her thinking brain is working, sit with her and just tell her, it's very hard for me to not yell at you, to not hit you. Tell her what happened to you. And you are trying so hard to not do it. But when I heard that statement, that really hurt me. I strongly believe our kids are very loving, very caring, and they really want to do better more than what you want them to do. But when we label them disrespectful, spoiled, unappreciative, my father used to go to in a cycle to go to school. I used to take a cycle to go to school. And you have a car here, you are going to McDonald's every month. My father never had these things. And when we go in that route, we're just getting disconnected our children. Okay, so make sure. So the first thing again, check yourself. The second thing is validate what your child is. If your child is crying, just say it. It must be really something is bothering you. What's going on? Third thing is sit with your child. What is happening? And even if your child is making things up, you just repeat what your child is saying. So you are using the phone at 11 p.m. because you wanted to talk to your child. You want to talk to your friend. Tell me, who are you talking? What's going on in your brain? So up till 10, you failed in the exam. You know why your child is failed. It's not studying, not all the time on the phone, all this thing. So rather than going in that route, I told you don't hang out with that friend. Look, results is in front of you. Rather than go that route, you just sit, tell me what happened. And whatever your child say, no matter how wrong the child is saying, you just repeat. So you think you failed, not you think. It's a more curiosity. So you think or you feel you failed because of this. So 10 minutes, just keep using exploration, curiosity, and then come up with some suggestion. Okay? And then come up with some plan. So let me just repeat. Catch yourself, when you are in a good mood. Second thing is, validate your child feeling. Third thing is, collaboratively explore 10 minutes, no right, no wrong, ask and then repeat that thing, and then give them some suggestion. Okay, so you have done this, and it may work one time and it doesn't work 10 times. So in a normal parenting, 70% of the time parents make mistake. Let me tell you again. In a normal parenting, 70% of the time parents make mistake. Again, in another presentation, one girl, again a psychologist, because that's usually my audience, especially when I go to Pakistan. So one student, she stood up and she said, Dr. Zeeshan, I don't want to get married. That's another thing when I talk to kids here, they don't want to have kids. And when I asked her, tell me why you don't want to get married, she said, my parents were very harsh on me. They hit me, they did all those things, and I still remember all those painful nights. It's not only the physical hitting. Let me tell you another funny example. So again, I was sitting with some doctors' mothers, and unfortunately, their two teenagers were there as well. And they all were saying, that we never hit our kids. And the teenager said, no, mom, you do. And she said, no, what do you mean I do? And she said, mom, remember you hit me with the toothpaste? And mom hold her head like this. Oh my God, do you know we were hit by a rod? And you are complaining about just hitting by a toothpaste. So what I'm trying to say is that, hitting with a rod or hitting, it doesn't make that hitting with the toothpaste right. But in our mind, we are, so in our mind, that the lesser evil is a better, something on those lines, and we are not even realizing it. Anyhow, so that girl told me, that I still remember the crying. I still remember how much I wanted to spend time with my parents, but they were so, and unfortunately, I'm a psychology student. And the other, unfortunately, that I'm listening to your lecture too much, that you're telling ghosts in the nursery and all those stuff. So I'm pretty sure that I am going to do these things to my kids. So what do you think? So the one thing is to stop doing it, not to get married or not to have kids, because I don't want to transfer this trauma or all the pain or all that I have in my mind. And now you are telling me that it's not here, it's here, and it's going to happen automatically. So I told her, that based on the research, and the data is showing that this is likely going to happen. But I'm going to share you one thing that if you do, you can cut that down trauma. Okay, so I share you some strategies, and this is another powerful thing. This is called repair. I said, I'm not saying you go and get married tomorrow, but that's what I'm just saying is, let's say you get married, you have kids, and you overreact, you hit your kid. Let's think the worst thing. I said, when you were being hit, that was just kept happening. I'm telling you that if you hit your child, or you said mean thing, you start comparing, you start threatening, this is a 24-hour rule. that within 24 hours, go back to your child and apologize. So this is called repair. And when you're apologizing, you have to tell your child what they did and how it makes you feel. Because we just get too emotional, either too strict or completely giving away. Because we have to teach our kids what are they doing, how it's making us feel. So I told her, tell your child, that tell your child that what you did was wrong and it make me angry. Okay, so step by step, what you did was wrong, so that the child knows what is right and wrong and how it make you feel. It make me feel angry, but I should not yell at you. I should not, compare you. I should not say all the stubborn, disrespectful, spoiled, or all my own stories that I used to go on cycle to the school and I never went, you know. But tell her that was the wrong part, and I really sorry for it. And please tell me how we can move forward. I can tell you, I'm a so-called child psychiatry trained, so-called infant trained parent coach. I make mistake every day because parenting is that hard. And no matter how much you learn, you are going to make mistake. So the key, the other thing I would like to share it with, be with the repair within 24 hours. Make sure you repair. And sometime, again, the same thing is that my kids need to forgive me. Tell me that, Mama, I'm forgiving you. They don't have to say it. The key is they are knowing that you can make a mistake. This one story mom gets scared too. So the concept is you are sharing with them, you can get angry, you make mistake, but this is how you repair it. Okay. So a few things that I have shared with you. The staying calm, validating the feeling, collaboratively explore, and then come up with the suggestion. The other thing I have shared with you is the repair. The third thing is that many times parents say, okay, but my one child, and this is somehow, sometimes you feel Allah loves diversity. Within one house, one is an angel and the other child is the devil, literally. So sometimes you ask, what is this? Like both kids are eating the same, and the angels know that he is getting praised because of the angel, so he makes sure the other child look devil. So then you get surprised, what is it? So then there's another good research from Dr. Thomas Boyce. And Dr. Thomas Boyce mentioned that there are two kinds of temperament. One is called dandelion and other is called orchid. Dandelion and an orchid. The dandelion can grow anywhere. It can grow in Atlanta, it can grow, New Jersey, anywhere. It grow in Alipur, it can grow in Chang. It's there everywhere. But then orchid, unless the orchid gets a proper water, the proper light, the proper care, is not going to grow. Both flowers, God has given them the potential to grow. But the dandelion doesn't care. If you look at them carefully, or if you give water properly, they are going to grow. But then orchid, if you talk them harshly, if you compare them with other kids, if you tell all your bicycle and the not going to the restaurant stories, they are not going to grow. That's another thing. The comparison is just, and it have helped us. As I said, just like my parents hitting me have helped me too, and then the comparison also helped. When we were growing up, look at your other, and look at you. But what I'm saying is things have changed. What Morali said, we should not raise our kids the way we are being raised. Our kids are born for a different time and a different generation. So we really need to focus on connecting. We really need to find ourselves what are our triggering points. And I will just stop with the screen addiction because that's one thing So, okay. So let's talk about the screen, and then, why our children or teenagers are so addict to screen. Okay. The reason I don't bring the screen, because then all attention goes here, because I'm kind of attention seeking person. So please stay with me. Otherwise, I will keep moving around. So there are 5 S's. Okay. There are 5 S's. Every child and adult want to feel seen, want to feel safe, want to feel successful. Okay, so every child want to feel, so because people are getting confused, do they look there or there? I said, let me bring all those 5 S's there so that you can focus on me. Okay, so every child or adult want to feel seen, want to feel safe, want to feel soothed, want to feel successful, and want to feel significant. Is there anything wrong in it? No. So our children, I think the phone, video game, all these things are not toxic. Let me be very, very clear. I think because we never saw these things in our childhood. And what we remember from our early age, the moment we used to go to any place where the video games are, we are being hit or told or compared, this you should not do. So in our place, these are the enemies. And the moment our child is not on the book, nowadays there are a lot of funny things. The child is opening the book like this, um, and there is a mobile here. So what I'm trying to say, the phone, the video games are not toxic. Okay, it become toxic only when our children are getting all 5 S's only from the screens or the phone or the video game. Okay. So what is a scene soothe mean? Scene mean like so again, I'm very on social media. I have my Facebook, and I post these things. So whenever I post, and making sure someone is taking my picture, I need to post. So I will sorry. So I will post. I will be seen. You know. Okay. Why the social media is safe? Let's say you don't go outside and meet some random person and you make that person a friend. But on social media, you get a friend request. You saw this person have similar kind of pictures, similar kind of interest, and you just click friend. Okay. And the other thing, because you become friend, is because if this person said anything that I don't like, I can unfriend them. That's why there is so much frustration tolerance now, because in school, when someone say bad things, I get a 5-year-old, I don't want to live. I want to kill myself. 5-year-old, 4-year-old, I'm getting cancelled. Because what they are seeing, on the video games, on all those things, killing, if you don't like all those things, So social media, you feel safe doing those things. But they are not realizing in real life it doesn't happen. Similarly, successful, again, same thing. I'm posting, people are commenting, wow, this is a really good post. You have shared this advice. So you are feeling some successful, soothing. The phone is something that if you give to a 2-month-old, 2-year-old, 20-year-old, or a 70-year-old, so soothing. MashaAllah. So at Boston Children, we learn about the family media plan. So you sit with your child and you ask your child, how much hours do you need? Child would say, I need 2 hours, but actually they are using 6 hours. And then we sit with the parents, tell us, what you want your child to do. Okay, so I usually ask, tell me 5 things. You want to make sure your child go to sleep on time, want to make sure they do their homework, want to make sure that they have family time, want to make sure they have their outdoor activities, and want to make sure some other thing. I said those 5 things. If your child come to school, if they finish their homework, they have the dinner, they have the family time, they cannot use after 9 p.m. So they can use as much as they want, as long as they are fulfilling these 5 things. Our parents are doctors, so once they realize their child is finishing in 2 minutes, then they bring more books. So this is what we call family media plan. So you sit with your child. These are the 5 main things. If you do these things, you can use more. On the weekend, you can even use more. And if you want your child to not use phone, bring activities where they feel at least some of those. If your child is not into piano, forcing them because you met someone, who's excelling in piano, they are not being seen. So if you want to get rid of the screen addiction, the first thing is have that family media plan where you sit with your child. You bring activities, sit with your child. What are some activities you can do? Especially young children, they like physical activities. They like, something more hands-on. And then remember those steps. If you agree at 9 p.m., they are at 11 p.m. Don't, no phone for the next whole month. You are trying to trick me. No, I will tell you who the person is. You ask, catch yourself, validate. It must be really frustrating. We agree, but you are doing these things. Tell me what is happening. The child will make all this stuff up, but you just repeat, because until we make our child feel understood or heard, they are not going to listen to us. So this is what we call the family media plan. So there are good resources. There's some website I would like to share with you. So there is a good website. It's called Common Sense Media. So Common Sense Media is a good website. It will tell you what video games, the age-wise, your child can have, what activities, what on, the on iPad, please, please, and mine as well. Anyway, so yes, so you can see, which video game are good for you, what are more, activities. The other thing, I will also, at Boston Children, we have this website is called SimAid, Clinic of Interactive Media Use Disorder. So that's another good resource where they talk about a lot on the screen addiction. Similarly, these are the other good books: The Power of Showing Up, Nonviolent Communication, and Unconditional Parenting. These are the good books to read. But the best books are mine that I will just share with you in a minute. Okay, so I just as a child psychiatrist, you learn to teach your kids some stories, and so I used to tell my children stories, but I felt that it are more artificial, princess and all those things. So one day, during COVID, so my daughter, I used to tell her when she's sleeping, let's go to sleep, princess, and she used to fall that. And one night she held my hand and she said, Dad, I don't want to be your princess anymore. Can you just stay another hour with me? So one normal parenting is I need to make sure she has a good sleep schedule, all those things. But I said, tell me what's going on. Anyhow, so when I sat with her, I learned that, she was feeling alone. During COVID, the school were off. So this is based on that. I don't want to be your princess anymore. Like how you explore your child underneath feeling rather than what your child is saying, is right and wrong. The other book is Mom Gets Scared Too. This is after the South Carolina, I think the flood. So one child come to mom, I'm scared. So mom said, I am scared too. She said, Mom, I never thought you were scared. You always pretend you're very strong and this and that. So this is where, mom and daughter have that conversation, how to make feeling scared a normal feeling. And the third is kindness a superpower. So that's on the bullying. If your child get bullied, how you can help, your child. These are just my, first few way to, learn and make some contribution. I just